Hi, I'm Rebecca Davidson, and I would like to welcome you to my 45-hour review presentation. We don't have much time, so we'll jump right into it and begin with the artist statement. As a synesthete, I process sensory input differently than the average person. I see colors when I taste food, feel touch, and hear music. My interactions with other sentient beings weave a complex and sometimes overwhelming tapestry of sensual perception. Thus, abstract painting is the purest expression of my inner world. As an autistic woman, I experience emotions more intensely than neurotypicals. Painting offers me a safe means of emoting and processing the myriad of thoughts and sensations my brain generates. I often feel different, but creating art connects me with the collective humanity. Vasily Kandinsky, one of the first abstract painters, also had synesthesia. He was interested in shape, geometry, and color, while my aesthetic approach explores motion, color, and texture. I work in an instinctual manner, approaching each piece spontaneously with very little preliminary work, determining which colors to use as my foundation, using watercolor and charcoal in my sketchbook to experiment with gestures and lines. My work embraces various tactile application methods, rubbing paint into the canvas, layering wet into wet and wet onto dry, static brushy strokes, flinging paint, and smearing loaded palette knives. My body of work explores the unconscious human experience. These instinctive threads transcend race, sexuality, religion, and class. I convey universal themes abstractly so observers can intuitively access the various emotional and psychological states of each painting, creating visual epitaphs or moments that can only be expressed via color and gesture. Though my work fits rather neatly into the abstract expressionist historical model, I am also influenced by the Impressionist, Cubist, and Neo-Expressionist movements. These most recent series embody painting as a native language in depth on a grand scale. The first body of work was completed during painting 2. It is about sound and color, with individual songs being translated into color, shape, and emotional movements. The second was completed during painting 3, and it consists of 5 paintings. It describes the colors I see internally while experiencing alternative sensory input. For example, tasting limes and chilies or hearing a jazz trumpet. We've just entered the Art Steps Gallery, and the first thing we see is the title of this first body of work, Color and Sound. It's from fall 2020. The first painting is called Delirious. It's very brushy, very fun, inspired by the Prince song. This one is Shelter from the Storm. And this is The Times They Are a Changin'. It's named after the Bob Dylan song. It's 36 by 36. The elements I really love in here are all of the layers and the brushy texture and really just all the layering. I use some finger painting techniques as well as brush and all of my usual tactile applications. I flipped this canvas upside down and sideways a lot while I was working, which is how we got the drips going in different directions. So that's super fun. Tangled Up in Blue, again, we see a lot of the brushiness, some finger made marks, lots of layers, some that are opaque and some that are translucent, because that's kind of how the synesthesia works. Multiple colors kind of interplay and overlap, and you don't really know which one is on top because they both can be, and they both kind of weave together. Sometimes one aspect of one application might be overlapping another, and it might be underneath something that's behind something else. You Enjoy Myself. It's named after a fish song. My favorite part here is all of this texture that happened from layering paint and working with white and black in addition to color intentionally with the other colors in it. So the idea was to capture what the song sounds like, and I think I succeeded. This one is called Whatever the Case. This one is called Don't Know Why. It's named after the Norah Jones song. And then this one is Play for Today. It's based off of the song by The Cure. And these were the last two of this series. One is Cypress Avenue, the song by Van Morrison. And then this one is The Same Deep Water as You, which is another song by The Cure. So the next body of work is Sensational. It's from Painting 3. And this is jazz trumpet, and it is an expression of what it sounds like when and looks like when I hear New Orleans, specifically New Orleans jazz trumpet. We see a Baroque diagonal, we see all of these formal elements, but what really matters is the brushiness, how intensely layered some of these sections are, and then how opacity and translucency interplay. The next one is Oxytocin Overload. Again, we see that Fibonacci spiral, the golden ratio happening. We see a lot of these. It's a traditionally Baroque composition. If we are going to talk about compositional elements, but what really matters is how they kind of dance between foreground and background as different elements move forward. The repetition is another big thing you'll see in my work, repetition of gesture and intense layering with translucency. So you can see how these arches here mimic other arches in the back, and the spiral really just kind of goes in on itself. The drips and flings are indicative of this experience. It is called oxytocin overload, and oxytocin is the cuddle hormone. So this is that post-orgasmic cuddle, eat chocolate, snuggle, feel overwhelming joy and elation kind of sensation. And so that is what this painting really is meant to capture. Limes and Chilies is a super fun painting. I love Limes and Chilies. It was really about capturing that zesty, flavorful juiciness. You can see some of the juiciness in some of the paint, the drips and splats, and that's just really fun. The next one is a picture of nectar, and this is what it's like when I'm at a party and the world is overwhelming and there are so many different people and so many different sounds and so many different colors happening in my mind's eye as I'm processing all of this information. And so this is what it looks like. It's interesting. It can be scary and it can be beautiful, and often it is both simultaneously. The final piece of this series is it's called Trust Your Intuition. And it's about how interaction with sentient beings can be overwhelming as well. And so it's so important for those of us who do have synesthesia to trust that intuitive process about what it is we're seeing and how we're understanding that information. Because I think in some ways it really is a gift, as challenging as neurodivergency can be for those of us on the autism spectrum. It's really fantastic to be able to have this other gift of synesthesia where I can experience the world differently and share it with others through art. One of my childhood art teachers once told me, the process is the goal. As I continue my academic and professional painting process and career, I plan on continuing to work large and exploring movement, texture, and color. I hope to find balance between the urges to create complex canvases that convey the barrage of sensory input I experience and making more nuanced meditative work. I appreciate your time and feedback greatly, and I look forward to working towards my thesis exhibition with you in the coming quarters.